You are about to meet a fabulous tonalist and a fabulous landscape painter. Please meet Brian Sindler. Brian, welcome.
Hi, Eric. How are you?
Good. I know we've been struggling with technology, but we're here. We're alive. We're going to have a great time. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. And I'm struggling a little bit with technology now because I can't see you.
Oh, well, I think that's you're not really missing anything. I'm just saying. Hey, you guys in the comments, no ugly comments, right? New year, we got to be positive. So Brian's going to do a what for us today? What are you going to do?
I'm going to do a small demo of an aerial painting from my memory, pretty much.
Okay. Well, I'm going to just to give them a feel for that. I'm going to show them a couple of paintings that here's an aerial painting that you've done in the past. And here is something else. I don't know if you were up in airplanes when you took those shots, or and you can get a feel for the tonalist, the nocturne paintings, sunset or sunrise paintings. Beautiful work. So Brian, we're looking forward to it. Why don't you do this? I'm going to hop off, make some announcements. You can get your camera set up and I'll be right back.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Terrific. Well, Brian Sindler is going to be our guest today. I'm Eric Rhoads, publisher and founder of Fine Art Connoisseur Plein Air Magazine and Streamline Art. We are like Disneyland for artists. And they call me Walt around here for some strange reason. Anyway, Happy New Year right around the corner. I want you to be thinking about your New Year's resolutions, your goals for 2021. And let's just hope, you know, we got one more day of 2020 after today. So let's just hope we get through this and things will start to normalize a little bit. It's been crazy. Been pretty crazy, just saying. Anyway, tried to be here for you. This is day number 280. Been here every single day through quarantine, through the election, through all the craziness. And so just want to be here to keep your spirits lifted and to expose you to art. I would love for you guys to put into the comments what some of your New Year's resolutions or goals are. That way everybody can get a feel for what other kind of people are doing. All right, so a couple of things, some announcements for you. First off, I have some prizes, right? Always got prizes every day, and today is no exception. We have a digital subscription to Plein Air Magazine going to Judy Weber in Canada. Thumbs up and applause to Judy. Congratulations. Plein Air Magazine, by the way, in case you're new to us, in case you're not familiar, Plein Air is the #1 selling art magazine in America at Barnes & Noble nationally, the #1 newsstand. And we're really proud of that. It's been happening for several years. We love it. Thank you for making that happen. Of course, you can have your own subscription too. We also should mention that the digital subscription of Plein Air has about 20% more content than the print subscription, which has a lot of content. So nice thing also, you can zoom in and so on. So congratulations on winning that. Now, today's prize, what do we have today? We have an easel brush clip from easelbrushclip.com. If you didn't get one for Christmas, there's still time. Just saying. It's on my studio easel, my Plein Air easel. It's something that I use all the time, and I see it on everybody's easels. It's just convenient. You know, you get your brushes right there at your eye level, and that way you grab the ones you need, and also they're not dropping on the ground all the time if you're outdoors. So that's easel brush clip. If you guys are setting resolutions, there's still time. Just go onto Amazon and get on your Kindle, and you can read it tonight. Make more money selling your art, something that will help you in your art career if you decide selling art is important to you. All right. I want to mention that we have a podcast, a good time to catch up on podcasts over the holidays. The Plein Air podcast, interviews with different people every single day, and the Art Marketing Minute, which is at the end of the Plein Air podcast, but also has its very own podcast where I answer your questions about marketing. Want to mention that we have the Plein Air convention coming up in May. We don't know what's going to happen, but we're thinking positive. We think that it's probably going to happen. We just want to make sure that we're safe, and so we'll play it by ear. But you can register before Valentine's Day and save money, and go ahead and get that done. Also, want to mention to you that we have some of the world's leading watercolor artists in an event called Watercolor Live, and you can sign up. It's coming up at the end of next month, 28th through 30th. And so it's just about a month from now, but you can sign up. It's 3 days, including the 28th through the 30th. And then you've got a beginner day on the 27th, the world's leading watercolor artist. And that is going to be pretty cool. Today at 3 p.m., we have Kim Casebeer is going to be painting this painting, Dramatic Light. She's going to be doing an art instruction demo, 3 p.m. on YouTube and Facebook. Just search Streamline Art Video to find it live. And we'll be giving discounts on her video, Dramatic Light, today only, because we give them on the day that they're available. All right, so our guest today, as I mentioned, is Brian Sindler. And Brian has some absolutely beautiful tonalist paintings. And we're going to go right back to Brian, and he's got a screen set up. So, Brian, here we go.
Okay.
Brian. All right.
Here we are.
Here we are. I'm going to just let you take over and go ahead and start your demo.
Okay, will do. I'm going to start by just laying in some kind of value gradation across the canvas. No great importance to it other than I want to get something down.
Are you painting on a board, painting on canvas? What is it?
I'm painting on a board that I taped down to a it's a Raymar panel that I've just taped. I put tape around it so that I can pull it off at the end.
And you're painting in oil paint?
I'm painting in acrylic.
Oh, acrylic. Okay. Terrific.
Yeah. And it's going to assist me in the way I'm going to paint this painting. Some of the things I'm doing would be very difficult to do with oil.
Okay. So if you could kind of explain what you're doing as we go.
I want to get just I want to cover the canvas to start. It's a small painting. I don't have the concerns that I would in a larger painting about as much about temperature as I would be. I'd be a little more thoughtful maybe in the way I went about it, but I just want to get the canvas covered and get a sense of atmosphere right away off of this canvas. Unfortunately, I'm getting under this tape. I don't think it's going to be the cleanest edges in the world, but what can you do? But I just want to get a feeling of the atmosphere that will take me back into space. So I'm getting cooler as I'm going into space.
It looks like cooler, and is it lighter as well? Looks like the value is a little lighter.
Yeah. And there's a lot of ways you can achieve atmosphere. You can overlay things, overlap them, and that gives you the illusion that, you know, something bigger in front is feels big and in front of you, and its size diminishes as it goes into space. It usually gets lighter, and usually gets cooler. There's exceptions to everything, but so when I'm doing these kind of paintings at home, a lot of times I just throw paint down, and then what's going to happen is I think of it like sculpting almost, where I'm going to sculpt in, going to start sculpting in the design as opposed to drawing it. So already it's got a sense of there's like a feel of space to it, right? I hope.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
So you have to wait for this to dry before you go into your next layer. What do you need?
No, that's the beauty of this. I'm going to go right into it, and I'm going to carve in some shapes. I don't always paint the same way. I paint different subject matter differently.
Okay.
And obviously with different mediums, I'll paint it differently.
Right. Looks like you changed brushes.
I did. I'm getting something a little smaller so I can have a little more control for what I'm doing. It might not look like much now, but I promise
That's
when
what
I'm
they all
done,
say.
it won't look like much later either.
Oh, now stop. It's fun to watch. I like the way you hold your brush, the fact that you're holding it way in the back, so it's kind of keeping things loose.
Well, with the setup, I have no choice.
Well,
But I
that's
do
true.
have,
You can't stand right in front of things, can you?
yeah, I'm off at an angle. But in my studio, I have about uh, 2 foot piece of furniture in front of my easel, so I can never get that close. I mean, I can stand over and grab it, but okay.
I think that's a good practice to keep some space so you don't get your eyes right up there.
Yeah, and it's good to, yeah, definitely be able to get back and.
If you guys have questions, drop them into the comments. I'll try to read them as we go. Hello, Norway. Hello, Italy. Hello, Saudi Arabia. Korea. Wow. Yeah, it's kind of curious what you're going to do here since you're making this up in your head.
I've done a lot of these, and sometimes, you know, the best ones are just come when you have your memory or your, you're kind of, you're not thinking about getting it right. You're just thinking about getting something that looks good to your eye. So
Yeah, talk about developing your memory as an artist. How do you do that?
stay off drugs. You know what?
Everybody's a comedian.
Yeah, I tell you. When I was in art school and we would draw, I would come home and usually draw the model from what I remembered from that day. And that kind of helped me develop some of that ability. But I think it's just a good idea to when you've done something, to try to do it from memory. Like anything else, it's just kind of practice. You have to just try to draw as much as you can from your memory, and sometimes the memory fails you, but you have to make a decision, and sometimes the decision is a nice aesthetic decision, because you had to come up with something to make it look right, to fill in the blanks that your memory isn't giving you.
Now, do you use any kind of a medium? Are you taking it straight out of the tube?
It's straight out of the tube. I'm not. I don't use a lot. Sometimes I'll use a glazing medium to thin the paint down a little bit, but normally I'd use it out of the tube. And I don't try to paint too thick with acrylic. I don't think it's when you try to mimic oil with acrylic, I think it just doesn't look right to me. It looks more like oil when you let you won't get the brush strokes that you get with oil. It's gonna, when it dries, a lot of those individual hair lines are going to disappear. So it's best to treat it like its own kind of thing. I didn't leave myself enough space, I think, but can remedy that, I guess.
Kind of hard to judge when you're painting from the side.
Yeah, it's a little awkward, but I've done it a few times before for videos. It's the kind of painting that you really have to just, it kind of comes to life at the end. The last few things that you do kind of brings everything together.
Uh-huh.
He said that
You're painting
hopefully.
your foundation.
Yeah. Because I'm an acrylic, I can kind of let that dry a little bit. And I'll put a similar value over it, but it's going to come out lighter next time because it's kind of slurred with the wet paint.
Uh-huh. Do you typically put a frame of tape around just so that you get a clean edge on it?
No, I do that on works on paper. I just didn't have any small panels, and I wanted to get something that would line up. Well, I've been working on big paintings in my studio. I haven't worked small in the last month or two, so I'm kind of out of the medium-sized groove, and I thought this would be better to do something like this. And it would, I think, doing something that was unfinished. I thought this would be better.
Yeah. How big do you paint typically? What are these big paintings size-wise?
The new ones I'm working on are 36 by 36, 36 by 48, 4 feet by 4 feet, and some 48 by 60s.
Hmm.
It's funny when I back up and look at the picture, I see myself making the brush stroke, the lag time. I feel like
Oh
I'm on
yeah,
the moon.
because of the world famous internet.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of curious what this is gonna. I have in my mind what it is, but I'm not going to say because I don't I don't know if I'm right, but also I don't want to bias this.
Well, you might want to
It's
say,
kind of like watching magic appear.
you might want to say it because might be better than what where I'm going with it.
Well, I like the composition, where you're leading the eye in.
I typically don't think too much about composition until I'm in trouble. I kind of just, I mean, I don't mean to be funny. I usually will paint. There's the dog. And I don't think, if things are not looking good, then I start thinking, oh, why isn't it looking good?
Ooh, this is interesting. It looks like we have some light coming forward.
Yep. Got to have a little light in these dark times.
So I'm thinking that's a river.
Yep. I'm thinking I just put the wrong value in there.
I love your edge work because you're trying not to be perfect.
Well, that's kind of easy for me, not to be perfect.
Yeah, perfection's a little hard to achieve.
Yeah, there's a good saying about I don't remember the exact thing. It's like don't make perfection the enemy of the good or something like that.
Yeah.
Probably butchering the quote, but there's a lot to that whole thing about overthinking and paralysis from analysis and all that stuff.
Yeah. or overworking something too.
Yeah. Oh, just killed that sucker.
And tell everybody to make sure to put into the comments so you can win the prize. Today's prize is the easel brush clip, and you could win it by just making a comment. And it's nice if you say where you're from, where you're watching from.
This is tough because I can't get in front of the, I'm gonna probably have a crooked line here.
Excuses, excuses, excuses.
Yeah.
Looks good to me.
Where would we be without them?
So when you do all of these aerial things from your head, or did you, some of the ones that I showed earlier, had you done them from photographs from a tower or an airplane or something?
The first one I did, I was flying into Amsterdam at like 6 in the morning, I think, or something. And it just, the light was fantastic. And I took some shots and I did some paintings, and a friend of mine, artist friend, said, you should do a series of these. So I started doing them, and then I was going to a show in New York, and same thing, I had a great time. I was leaving or flying in to New York, and just a great view, and I shot some reference photos. And so I've started doing them, and then when you've done enough of them, they start to get ingrained in your head. You just,
Right.
I probably would be a little more courageous, to be honest with you, if I wasn't on film right now. I do it in a time lapse thing, but I would probably take more risks and try. There'd be a lot more not wiping out, but just painting over stuff. But I'm trying not to.
Well, there's only tens of thousands of people watching.
That's what
I
don't want to get anybody sick.
And I assume people can see other pieces of your work at your website, which is briansindler.com.
Yeah, I think the best place to view work, which is the most current work I'm doing, would be Instagram, because I'm usually posting times a week. So,
okay. It looks like it's not a brush, is it?
I don't know what the hell it is. It's
well, hold it up slow to the camera so we can see it. It looks like it's a tip of some kind.
Yeah, but there's nothing on the end of the tip. I don't know if there's something.
It's a burnishing tool.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah, it is.
Oh, that's a great idea. So you're using that to put little specks of light in.
Yeah, on this size of painting, it's so small that a brush is just gonna, like I did with that other one. It's just gonna overwhelm.
Everybody's going to be Googling Amazoning burnishing tools now.
Yeah.
You need to come out with one with you're the first one to use a burnishing tool that I've seen. So you have to come out with one with your name on it. You might become a burnishing tool billionaire.
There you go. I'll split it with you. Whoop.
No, you can keep it all. That's all right. I'm a very generous person.
That's the holiday season.
That's right. That would make a beautiful mask. You could put that on a mask. It'd really be beautiful.
The burnisher?
No, the art.
Oh.
One of our viewers sent me a mask of some art. One was the girl with the pearl earring, and the other was the finch. And cool. And we've had more compliments on those masks. So kind of nice to have art on your mask.
That looks like I'm putting a bright light back there, but it's actually, it's going to dry pretty close to what was already there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's how much the value will change on these, hopefully. If it doesn't, I have to make some moves, but yeah.
Oh, fun. So, learning to paint in a tonalist style isn't easy. What is your best advice? Because if you're going out, let's say you're going out plein air and you're seeing a bright sunny day, but you want to make it tonalist, what do you do?
Well, that's a really good question, because at some point, unless you're going to completely ignore nature, you have to get some kind of cue if you're going to be outside. And that cue can be the design. But I think a lot of it is learning to see the day like you see the night. And when you look at a tree at night, or you look at a group of trees, it's really hard to tell where one tree ends and one tree starts. So you've got like a massing of shapes that you can't really get a grasp of, and you have to you paint what you see at night, so everything becomes one big shape as opposed to individual shapes, and you have to think like that in the day. But I mean, it's a lot easier to paint a toneless painting on a gray day than it is on a bright sunny day at 12 o'clock.
Yeah, I would
which is a
imagine
problem.
so. Do you get out and do a lot of
plein
plein air?
Well, I do I've do about 3 events a year. I've done the Door County one for about 11 or 12 years. I've done Easton 3 times, I think, Sonoma 4 times. I don't do
So the answer is yes.
Yeah. Oh, I do. Yeah. I mean, everything that I'm doing now, that I'm doing in this painting, is influenced by going outside. I mean, I spent years going outside, and that's where I've gathered up the knowledge, on painting, is from that. I didn't. The studio painting influences the outdoor painting, and the outdoor painting influences the studio painting. It's kind
Sure.
of a,
The back of that burnishing tool could make some interesting marks too, kind of like a palette knife.
yeah, it could, couldn't it? Trying to get a little bit of warmth here. See how that sits.
You really get that sense of depth and atmosphere in there.
Yeah, that's that's where I wanted to start with the painting, because if you don't have that in the beginning, you end up having to draw more to get those shapes in. And on a larger scale painting, I'd have to be doing a little bit more drawing and more getting some more warms in here. It's not so critical on a painting this small, I think.
Right. Right.
I'm losing some of that atmosphere here. How are we doing on time?
Oh, we're at about, we probably got about 20, 25 minutes, 20 minutes left, probably.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Very, very subtle. So do you ever work with oils?
I did. I was doing was I was painting with oils for years, and then I started doing acrylic in the studio because of all the outgassing from the oil paint. Starting to have some issues a little bit. I had so many paintings curing at the same time that I decided to experiment with acrylic. And then about 2 years ago, I was talking with a friend. I went out. What I was doing is every summer I would go out. In the spring, I'd start practicing in oil because I had to go do the plein air events. And by the last time I did that, I was noticing that the oil paintings just didn't look as good as the acrylic paintings. And I showed it to a friend of mine, and who's an artist, someone I really respect and admire. And he said, yeah, the acrylic paintings, he was asking, we were going through the Instagram feed, and at that time, about 80% of it was acrylic. And he said, I would do acrylic. And he said, I wouldn't bring your oils with you, because that way, if you're struggling, you're going to right away go back to oil. So don't give yourself that, So I did. And it took it's a challenge when you're in Easton, Maryland, I'll tell you that much. Stuff dries very quickly. But I pretty much stopped. Occasionally I'll paint in oil, but very rarely. I used to wash a lot. I find that's a nice medium to do kind of experimental work small.
Well, I don't typically paint in acrylic, and it looks like, it dries a lot darker. Oil tends to dry a little bit darker. Just wondered what the differences were between the two.
Yeah, this is much more dramatic. Sorry about that. The shifts are quite a bit greater in here than they are in oil. They really, and the colors can even shift a little bit. You kind of get used to it. And there is a level of painting. Some of the first art I ever made was printmaking. So there is a aspect of printmaking that you kind of don't know what you get until you pull that print. You pull that thing out and you look at it because it's in reverse, and it's going to look different than what you did. And there's an aspect of that I like. I don't want to have everything laid out for me. I just don't feel like if I get too comfortable doing the same thing over and over again, it just starts to look tired. And I don't want that
right
to dictate how I move along.
It's really fun watching this. And our guests are enjoying it in the comments.
That's good. That they're still there. I gotta wait for. They have to wait for the big surprise ending, so don't leave now.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's the fun part about these things, is to watch how everybody does it, and it's all different.
Yeah, my approach even on different paintings is different. I don't paint the same way. It really, I kind of let the subject dictate that a little bit.
Tell the dog to answer it.
Wish you could. It's a telemarketer. That's all they calls on that landline. I don't know why we keep it. But
they're like, hi, would you like to go to Watercolor Live? We gave up our landlines.
Well, it's common, you know, you get calls from like things that you don't even have. You know, your such
Yeah.
and such service warranty ran out.
Yeah.
I think I need a bigger splash on that light there. Or repaint it again.
Do you keep your acrylics on a stay wet palette or anything to keep them
Yeah,
from drying out?
absolutely. I don't think I could paint without one. I know people that don't use them, but I have them. I have actually, when I do plein air events, I bring about 7 with me.
Do you really?
Yeah, because in case I'm, you know, there's so many things that acrylic just so are. It's just such a convenient medium for so many things, especially design and moving things around on the fly. But well, the hard thing is if I have a painting and I want to come in and kind of match a color, um, just take that extra, you know, like the day that I'm gonna turn in the paintings, I look and there's a big scratch in the corner or something like that. Something that would take seconds in oil is just a little more time consuming
Mm-hmm.
because you got to put the color on and wait for it to dry, you know. So I carry 7 boxes with me.
Hmm. Very delicate brush strokes. I like it.
You know, actually, one of the reasons that I kind of changed to acrylic was I thought I watch people paint and I think, God, they paint so delicately. I have like hands of stone, you know, it's like plop. So with acrylic, you know, the thing with oil is I never had the patience to, to, to scrape more than once or twice. I
Yeah.
scrape once. If it doesn't work, I might scrape twice. After that, I just start swearing and grinding the paint in, thinking that it's going to go in just out of sheer force. So I found that with acrylic, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't matter as much about that. It's more about um, just being able to have that ability to move things around, and I can always change things without having to scrape, stop, you know. This kind of painting that I'm doing, the way that I'm painting it, I couldn't do in oil just because I'd have to leave these spaces as negative spaces to keep them clean for the water area.
Right. Right.
So, um,
You can lay anything over anything in acrylic, right?
pretty much. I mean, you get some, sometimes, you know, some, like in oil, some paints are a little more transparent than others. But yeah, you can take something and put
What
it
is the
over. You could,
base color that you're using? Is it a mixture of blues and yellows, or is it a tube color?
I've got on my palette, I have titanium white, cad light yellow, naphthol red, which is like a cad kind of light, I guess, a phthalo blue red shade, and a crimson. And I
Hmm.
mix colors from those colors.
Okay, it's a small
So
palette. Yeah.
yeah, so I have greens mixed out that are just they're very grayed out greens.
Hmm.
And
They're beautiful.
thank you. It's to me subtlety is, you know, subtlety is where the emotion comes in to a painting. Um, if it's not doesn't have that subtlety, it just to me doesn't project the kind of mood that I want to.
Right.
sometimes I have to keep painting, keep reinstating what I've already kind of done to get it, either I've painted over it or just to get a better.
Hello, New Zealand. I wonder what time it is. And it was probably tomorrow in New Zealand, I'm guessing.
Probably is.
It might, let's see, it might already be the new year in New Zealand. I'm not sure. Huh. I don't know if it's a day. Yeah, I think it's a day. So it's probably like 10 o'clock in the morning there. So it would be New Year's Eve there.
Yeah. Fly there, celebrate, and come back home and celebrate.
Yeah. Yeah, I've, flying back, it's pretty much you leave that day, you get back that day.
Have you been to New Zealand?
I have. I've been twice and I want to go again. I wouldn't mind living there. It's pretty beautiful. The only problem is it's so far, far away from everything. And the flight is 14 hours from LA.
Wow. Yeah, that's a long. I'm about 8 hours, and then that's all I could take.
Yeah, eight's tough. The first time I went to New Zealand, I think it was 18 hours or 20 hours. And that included a stop in Hawaii. Or maybe we had, that was probably airtime from Hawaii, 18 or 20 hours. It was awful.
Yeah,
I remember coming back, I was on one of those jumbo jets with, like 6 seats across, and I got stuck in the middle seat next to a kid who was without his or her parents, and the kid got sick. And so I had to take care of the sick kid for like 8 or 10 hours. It was not fun.
Yeah, that's, I'm not a super happy traveler. That sounds like a tough trip.
Well, it's not that bad because at least I was traveling. Doesn't seem so bad now. It wasn't very much fun at the time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I go to Italy. Been there several times in the last few years. But that's a long place I go is kind of long, circuitous route through Amsterdam to flying from Amsterdam to getting in a car, driving another. It's like about an 18-hour trip to get to where we go.
You drive from Amsterdam to Italy?
No, fly into Italy. It's just a brutal get in at 6 in the morning, so it's midnight my time.
Right.
Wait 2 hours. Wait 6 hours for a flight to Pisa. And then after the 6 hours of waiting in Pisa, then you go to you have to drive from Pisa. It's about an hour and a half from Pisa. So it's
what town?
You would never. The closest town that I could say that's probably 45 minutes away is Lucca.
Oh, I know where Lucca is. Sure.
Yeah, Lucca, but it's. I have terrible sense of direction, so I couldn't tell you where in terms of north, south, east, or west. But it's another 40. Lucca's halfway in between. So.
Do you do workshops over there?
No, I do paint over there. I don't do many workshops. I haven't. I've been doing these critical overview kind of things where I assess people's work, their not only their work, their direction, what they're trying to do, where they're going, and their website and their social media. There are a lot of people that put everything on their websites and social media, and it's very difficult to understand, where they're coming from as an artist.
Got to edit.
I hope Pardon?
You have to edit.
Yes. Yeah.
One of the
Three
things that
rules.
drives me nuts is that people post paintings that are in progress and don't realize that most people are not paying attention and they're just assuming it's a finished painting because you've posted it. And because
Right.
nobody reads anything. And so people oftentimes hurt themselves this way.
Yeah, I agree. Well, when I do that, I'm pretty close to done. You know, it means like I've got to, I don't put something that's, well, I say work in progress. It means that I'm going to fix some edges or do some stuff, you know, move something. But yeah, that is very true. But you see a lot of it. You see people that just don't edit down. They've got a website with paintings of cats, people, landscapes,
Yeah, they confuse their audience.
computers. Yeah.
So we're at we got about 5 minutes.
Okay. I mean, I could call this finished for where it is. Hit this one more. That's going to dry just about tad lighter than what was there.
Uh-huh.
I think could probably call this done.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Really got a sense of atmosphere in there.
Thank you. Yeah,
Good way to almost cap the new year, almost cap the old year. We'll be glad when this year's gone.
Yeah, really. And then 3030 in 2030 when we can go back out again, that's going to be great. I'm an optimist.
Yeah, let's not even go there. Well, Brian, why don't you come back on camera for a second if you can figure that out, and we'll say a quick goodbye.
Okay.
Very nice. And maybe you can go back in and answer some questions in the comments later tonight or something. All right. Terrific.
Sure.
Okay. Well, yeah, while you're doing that, you might as well show us your studio a little bit.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
I should.
There we go.
What happened there?
That's all right.
There we go.
I don't know. We got
guess
you,
I should
though.
go
That's
back
what
to the other
matters.
camera then.
That's okay. We got you.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Brian Sindler, thank you so much for being on today.
It's getting a little dark here.
Is it? Oh, that's nice. I like your drying rack.
Dark here now. That's actually, yeah. It's now that I don't have oils, it's just it's the to-go station. You know, things that are either going to be worked on. This is new work that I'm working on for. I have a show and a new gallery, so I'm doing 2 bodies of work. And
what's the gallery?
Which goes where? Tveden. I hope I pronounced it right. Tveden Gallery in Harbor Springs, Michigan.
Okay.
And then a Hardy Gallery in Door County. I'm having a show in the fall with 2 other artists there, or 2 other artists, not necessarily from there. So
cool.
I'm trying to stay higher than the mess on the floor. So and this is my splash guards for paintings that are so they get hit with the paint over here.
So you get some drama going when you're. Oh, nice skylight.
Yeah, these are. I can't see where I'm at here. Yeah. There we go.
Well, why don't you come back on camera? We'll say a quick goodbye. And this was terrific. I really enjoyed it. I love your brushwork. I love the sensitivity of your tonalism. So nice job today. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. It was a pleasure.
We're breaking up a little bit. We can find you at briansindler.com.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah.
Here we are. The tech,
I froze for there.
yeah, the tech is breaking down on us. But Brian, thank you so much for being on today. Our guest today was Brian Sindler, and you can check him out at his website, of course, briansindler.com. I want to remind you guys that you might as well, you're going to want to go anyway. You might as well get in before the price increase for Watercolor Live. Get that done. Make yourself a New Year's resolution to learn or grow in watercolor. I'm doing that because I take some watercolors with me in those times when I can't travel with paints, with oil paints. And I just don't do a good job at it. I need some help. So Watercolor Live is going to inform that. 4 days of instruction, including a beginner's day. And that's at watercolorlive.com. I want to remind you guys, today is 280, number 280. We will continue to be here as long as we need to be, God willing. So thank you for tuning in. Happy New Year. And make sure to get your resolutions done and to do something that is focusing on your goals. You can succeed no matter what's going on in the world. Don't let that bug you. Just move forward like a freight train, right? You got to get your momentum. Just keep moving forward. Keep your head in the game. Stay positive, and we will see you tomorrow. I'm Eric Rhoads, fine art connoisseur, Plein Air Magazine, and Streamline Art. And don't forget about our video today at 3 p.m., which is Kim K. Spear, and she's going to paint this painting from this video, Dramatic Light. All right, you guys, take care and have a terrific